Hello and welcome to Connect and Collaborate. I'm Alex Hopkins, your on-air producer, and I am so excited because this week we are talking about the Colorado Business Roundtable partners, and I'm probably going to refer to it as Cobert from now on. But in the meantime, I do need to tell our listeners, please go onto cobrt.com, sign up for our newsletter, take a look at our events page so you can see what we have going on, what our partners have going on, and I have in studio with me Mark Truax. He is with PacWest. How are you, Mark?
Alex, I'm great. How are you?
Fantastic. Thank you for joining us.
Hey, thanks for having me. Appreciate the time.
Yes, of course. So let's dive in with a little bit of background on you. How did you end up at PacWest, and what has your career been like before you got there?
Well, my great question. I appreciate the opportunity, and thanks to Cobert for putting this together and having their partners on. Thrilled with our partnership and continued relationship. You know, my background is in politics, and I've been with PacWest since I started my career. We're headquartered outside of Portland, Oregon, and I went to school outside of Portland at Pacific University. I'm from Colorado originally, but really, I had the opportunity to meet the owners when I was in college, and handed out resumes after I graduated. They hired me as a grunt, assistant manager. I've managed to work my way up. We're in our Denver office here for the last 5 years since we opened it. It's been great. Worked different parts of the country for PacWest, but been back here in Denver for 5 years, and it's been absolutely fantastic. 5 years in August, so close enough.
Yeah, but you are a native, right? So you don't get the gruff that most of us get for only being here for 5 years?
Yeah, well, I moved here when I was 4, so I got here as quickly as I could.
Right.
Not true native, but pretty darn close.
They're so discriminatory here about their true native status.
They are.
It tickles me every time. But so you went to school out in Portland, which is exciting.
It's beautiful.
It is beautiful out there.
I lived there and then lobbied in Salem for a number of years. And,
okay.
Did my degree in political science. So.
Nice. All right.
Politics through and through.
Oh, wow. That is not my forte, but I can appreciate someone who always has a passion for it.
Love it.
Yes. So tell me about PacWest. What is it that they do?
So we refer to ourselves as a political public relations firm, what does that mean? We specialize in any number of issues, a lot of controversial issues that are difficult. We don't shy away from the tough issues, whether it's oil and gas development, agriculture, healthcare, construction labor unions and labor management partnership organizations. We really work on a lot of those. And we also focus on, how do we play to win? That's not always half plus one at the ballot box or getting something passed. If we have a marketing client and we need to increase market share, how do we do that? And how do we make sure we're able to drive that information accordingly, drive up that support through polling, through research, things of that nature. So we specialize in a lot of different things. We have an in-house creative department. We have communications professionals, lobbyists, campaign folks, a whole lot of folks. You don't normally see that in a PR firm.
No, you don't.
We're kind of unique in that regard that we become the one-stop shop for many of our clients. And it's actually a good thing because they only have to call me or someone like myself to say, hey, I need this, this, and this, and we're able to do all of that. It's then my job to go make sure that the different staff we have are able to handle that. Or if we need to, produce a television ad, we can get that outsourced since that takes a very special type of technology, things of that nature. But we really pride ourselves in being that quarterback, being the general consultant that's able to look at everything from a strategy perspective across the field and say, okay, what makes sense? And what tools do we need to use here and there for our clients? Not every client's the same. Not every project's the same. Not every state's the same. So how do we make sure that we're communicating and in that right field to really drive that home?
I like that. So with that being said, there's lots of entities that you have that are born from this, right?
Yeah, we have a lot of clients, from corporate clients to nonprofits, campaigns that we get hired by a coalition of individuals or businesses, organizations that say, we need a campaign. Can we start immediately? Say, sure, we'll start immediately. So it just, it depends on what the need is. But we like to sit down, have a conversation with the representative or team if they have a broader team. Say, what is it that your needs are, and how do we not duplicate those needs? You obviously have a lot of work that's going on underway in your different companies and organizations. How do I build on that and not duplicate it? We're not reinventing the wheel. I'm not an engineer, so inventing the wheel, not my forte. How do we take it and expand on that? Let's go and do something different. Maybe utilize what we've learned from previous experiences, be able to implement that within their company.
Okay. So what do you have going on right now?
Oh man, we got there's a lot of things going on here in Colorado. A lot of oil and gas work that we focus on here in Colorado and in the Western United States, and hopefully we'll get a chance to talk about that. But our big project and where we started 5 years ago is with Coloradans for Responsible Energy Development, and I'm thrilled that we've been able to build that program from the beginning over the last 5 years and be the premier education effort in Colorado related to oil and gas issues. It's not like any other campaign you've ever seen or project. It is ongoing. It is fact-based. I wrote political science papers my whole time in college, and every time I write for cred, it feels like I'm writing a political science paper again. We have to, we footnote everything and we cite it. We have to get the primary sources, whether it's from, an air report from EPA or a land management report from the Interior Department or from the Colorado Department of Public Health and Environment. Pulling all of this together so that Coloradans have the facts on fracking and on the oil and gas industry, which is such a vital and critical part of our state here in Colorado. So we spend a lot of time working and educating Coloradans on fracking. It is not, it's an ongoing process because things change. And with so many new residents moving into Colorado every single month, which is great. Colorado's a great place to be. I'm very happy. I've been back here for the last 5 years. But they don't know about Colorado. When I lived in Virginia, I didn't know about the state. Yeah. So we need to learn, and we become a great source of information for, okay, what is it that you're seeing when you're driving north up I-25, and what are all of the tools, the drilling rigs, the sound walls, those types of things, being able to provide that source of information for the general public and for all of Colorado.
Well, and I have to agree with you. I had no idea how big oil and gas was in Colorado until I started here at Colorado Business Roundtable. I had no idea. But we also take great precautions and regulations on the oil and gas. We make it as safe as possible with fracking, right?
Absolutely.
Yeah.
We have some of the strictest oil and gas regulations in the country, whether it's methane requirements, working with land use requirements, with sound, all of those taken into account. Really very, very stringent to make sure that we are protected. Yeah. And we have 500-foot setbacks from homes. We have 1,000-foot setbacks from large occupancy buildings such as schools and hospitals. So really, the oil and gas industry is taking into account everything that they need and how are they able to make it safer, make it more efficient, and mitigating a lot of the impacts that you might see, whether it's sound. And we work with Liberty Oilfield Services, and they have their quiet fleet. So how are they able to quiet, reduce the decibel level for fracking and with the production with the completions of oil and gas wells? That really helps because when you're in a lot of these areas that are close to populated, large population centers, you need to be able to mitigate that. Having the sound walls up during the drilling, it's not to hide anything or play hide and seek. It's to keep that sound from traveling and trying to keep it as contained as possible. So the industry really prides itself and has worked tirelessly with the Colorado Oil and Gas Conservation Commission, the Department of Public Health and Environment, other state regulators, the state legislature, on what makes the regulations work, how can they be best implemented, what are best practices, all throughout the state, and something Colorado should be very, very proud of.
Yes, and I feel like a lot of entities out there really work together to try to get that done, right?
Oh, absolutely.
Yeah.
It's not one group or entity. You got to come across, as I always like to say, reach across the aisle and have that good compromise.
Absolutely. So before we got on air, you and I had a little bit of a conversation about this 2,500 foot distance. Mm-hmm. That's a ballot measure that passed, right?
Hasn't passed, no. Okay. It's a proposed measure. Okay. And Protect Colorado is working to to defeat that if it were to qualify for the ballot, which we hope it does not.
Well, let's back up. Let's talk a little bit about what Protect Colorado is.
Absolutely.
Thank you.
No, you're welcome. Protect Colorado is a state issue committee and designed to fight ballot measures or promote ballot measures that are out in Colorado, specifically related to oil and gas. So we've Protect Colorado has been working now for 3 cycles on a variety of different issues related to the oil and gas industry. 2 years ago, we were working with working to fight the setbacks measure. They had a very similar measure 2 years ago, 2,500 foot. Also helping work to pass Raise the Bar and Amendment 71, which changed the Constitution on constitutional amendments and requiring geographical distribution around the state for signature collection, which makes sure that those in Pagosa Springs and those in Ray and Yuma receive the same, they have to go out and collect signatures, and those part of the states just as they do in Denver and Boulder and Aurora, where I live now. So can't just focus on the population centers, and we really, the oil and gas industry is part of the business community and is part of the state here. The industry lives here. Employees, over 100,000 employees live in this state. Absolutely, they're going to help and protect Colorado, make sure that our state constitution, we make smart amendments to the Constitution, and Protect Colorado helped with Raise the Bar. And moving forward here into 2018 with the setback measures, as you brought up, we're looking at what the detrimental impacts of those measures will be. It will effectively ban the industry and be a tremendous impact on oil and gas development around the state, in Weld County, just north of where we are here today, in La Plata County, down in the San Juan Basin, in different basins around the state, all having that impact. And we need to focus on that, not let these measures qualify for the ballot, and elect pro-business entities and pro-business legislators and members when we vote here in November.
Yeah, and so just to reiterate, right now it's at 1,000 feet, right? The setbacks.
For yes, well, there's 2 different setbacks. Yeah. One is at 500 feet for homes, and then you have large buildings such as schools or hospitals. That's where it's at 1,000 feet, which makes that's a perfect distance and where it needs to be. It was just amended a few years previous to increase that setback distance, and the industry believes that's where that is a good distance and is a safe distance to be able to produce oil and gas and still have homes and developments in and around the area.
Now, with this 2,500 foot, is that across the board or is that just for the larger buildings?
Across the board.
Across the board. Okay. Yeah, that's more than doubling.
Yes.
Tripling for the residential area.
It is a huge impact and one that would be felt around the state.
Yeah, goodness. So let's talk a little bit about other states here. Now, you mentioned that PacWest, they've got an office in Oregon. Where else do you guys dip your toes in? Sure. So to speak.
Yeah, well, our main office is in Portland, Oregon, and we had a DC office for a number of years. Right now, I have the opportunity working in projects in Oklahoma with the Oklahoma Independent Petroleum Association and their Oil Patch Proud campaign, as well as in Alaska with the Alaska Oil and Gas Association. And we just launched last week an ONG Alaska, which is People, Pride, Petroleum, really focused on the employees, getting employees out into and being comfortable with talking about it and knowing the impacts and the benefits that oil and gas brings to Alaska. They've been facing a lot of strife and difficulties in the state, just as we have here in Colorado, and they need to get their employees out. And so they brought on PacWest, partly with our experience with CRED, to really look at, all right, how can we do this? And we focused on those 3 words, with people, with pride in the industry, and petroleum, to give them an understanding as to what the industry does and the benefits that it brings. And very, very well received. We had a great rollout last week, about 700 folks in attendance.
Wow.
At the conference there in downtown Anchorage. And, just really remarkable that we're able to look at it and see. So the best part of my job is being able to build these types of programs from the ground up and kind of think through all the issues and the different items to go, okay, how do we roll this out and make this work? And it was a great program. We're looking forward to working on it. So those are the 2 states that I've got things in now, but we've worked in Montana and Wyoming, New Mexico. We've done federal issues in Washington, D.C. We've done a lot of work in California. So Western United States is our focus, and between offices in Colorado and Portland, we can get just about anywhere in the western U.S. pretty darn quickly.
Oh, I think so. Yes, absolutely. So let's hone it back in on Colorado, and let's talk a little bit about healthcare.
Oh, yeah. Well, we've done a little bit with healthcare, and actually had a great, during the healthcare debate last year, had a great opportunity to do some work to pull a roundtable together, which Jeff Wasden, the president of the roundtable, participated in with Senator Cory Gardner's office. And just, a group of business leaders, agriculture leaders, community leaders from around the state were able to come together. We had a really nice, just, quiet discussion and quite frank discussion on healthcare, on the impacts of healthcare, on the impacts of Medicaid and Medicare in Colorado, and the delivery system. We are different than a lot of eastern states. Having lived in rural Colorado, the healthcare delivery is very important in those parts of the state, and how you can't talk healthcare without rural delivery in Colorado. So really able to engage, had a lot of good comments, and I think there was a compromise. Everybody's always frustrated, and I think where we came out and ended with Senator Gardner and the members in D.C. did a great job. Yeah.
So another big one here in Colorado, development, right?
Yep.
It's huge. Especially, as you mentioned, we have new people pouring in every month, right? Development's a big deal here in Colorado.
Yeah, it really is. And trying to get individuals, get their head wrapped around that development is not bad. It's different.
Right.
Change is good. Change is going to happen, and let's make sure that we do it smart. So I've been able to work with a number of different clients on how do we message and how do we talk about development in a smart way, in a proactive way, not in a negative or a detrimental way. One of the many fun projects that we've been able to work on.
Yeah. I need to get you on a loop saying change is good. Change is good. I need more people to appreciate that. And of course, one of the big ones that we always have to talk about here in Colorado, because we're one of the very few states that have legalized it, marijuana.
Oh, yes.
Yes. So you have a little bit in the marijuana sector here.
We have, and we've looked at, done projects on how do we, legalize it and overturn bans on it in municipalities and allow municipalities to generate that tax revenue from sales. We've also worked with companies on how do we get them to with permitting, with regulations, with all of the legal requirements that go along with opening a new store, getting the signature collections, testifying before the excise and licensing board, things of that nature. Want to make sure that it's done right, because so many eyes are on Colorado, and these business owners understand that their eyes are on it, and they're being watched. They want to make sure that it's done right, and we really pride ourselves in going that extra mile, being very diligent on signature collection, knowing where we need to talk to, making sure we hit all of the requirements on time and ahead of schedule within their permits. It's not easy, but it's one that the voters said that they wanted, so we'll work with them and see where we can go.
Well, and one of the things here, I think on many issues across the board, this new generation, we're all about transparency with the government, right? It's
transparency and accountability.
Yes.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah. So those are great current projects that you've got going on. Let's talk a little bit about what's in the future. What's in 2018 for you?
Well, invite me back Wednesday morning after the primary election, and we'll chat. We'll see what happens Tuesday night. Ballots have been in play now for a couple of weeks, leading into the primary election tomorrow night, and we'll see, who comes out for the governor's nomination and the attorney general. A lot of things shape up, and in political consulting world, all phones will start ringing Wednesday morning to say, okay, how is this all going to shape up? And then also with the ballot measures. Signatures are due for the ballot measures on August 6th, a month or so out, 5 weeks out from now. And what's that going to look like? How are those going to be impacted? What qualifies for the ballot? And then going into the fall. At that point, we'll be 90 days out. So getting ready to run ballot measure campaigns, help with independent expenditure activities, all of which we've done around the country, do a lot of really good work on, very, very successful. So it's got a lot of different things in the hopper, but, Wednesday will be our first milestone. August 6th with the signatures on the ballot measures will be the second milestone, and then we'll say, all right, where do we go between now and the November election?
So speaking of the November election, what is the best case scenario for PacWest with the new governor?
Oh, well, with the new governor, that's a little difficult question. We work with both parties, and depending on what our clients are looking for, like a governor that's willing to work with business. Okay. Regardless of who is elected, a governor that's willing to work with business, being the economic drivers in the state, whether it's oil and gas, marijuana, healthcare, development, how we're able to drive that home and really be willing to sit down, work with us, work with our clients, work with our partners at the Roundtable and others to encourage and be smart about whatever policies are put into place. That's going to be a home run for us.
Fantastic. In these last few minutes here, I'm going to ask you how I can utilize you, and if I have what do I need to go through to get to you to help me with a campaign? Oh,
absolutely. No, would love, however we can engage, please visit our website at PacWestCom.com. There are 2 comms in there. PacWestCom.com. Our telephone number in our downtown Denver office is there. Our office is just a few blocks from the Capitol. We actually host the Roundtable when they have meetings downtown. They're often at our office. But reach out or contact the Roundtable at cobrt.com, and they can get you, and you guys can get in touch with me. Would love to sit down and have a conversation with anyone who might need a campaign help, marketing, communication, strategy. Want to be a partner, and we're here as a long-term partner, not someone that flies in and flies out. We are very committed to our clients, and if you talk with any of our clients, I think you'd say that we go the extra mile, whether it's starting early, working late, working on the weekends to make sure that we get a deadline met. We are focused and committed to those partners.
And speaking of those partners and perhaps your clientele as well, what has been your favorite success story that's happened since the last 5 years that you've been back in the Denver office? Yeah.
I think our my favorite success story is just seeing how CRED has grown with Coloradans for Responsible Energy Development, and seeing how we're able to build and grow and change and adapt with the community. We are, 5 years in. There's been a lot of changes, a lot of attacks against the industry, comments both positive and negative, and how we're able to rise above that and say, these are the facts. We're trying to provide the information to Coloradans and give them everything that they need to move forward. And serving as the operations director for 5 years, it's been really remarkable to move all of those pieces around, make sure that we have the resources allocated where we need them, and being able to move forward. And I look forward to seeing what the next 5 years has to bring, and other projects. It's being able to build our office from the ground up here in Denver, something I'm very, very proud of.
Yeah. So what's the outlook for you then? What is your next big thing that you want to tackle?
We'll see what happens with the governor's race and with the elections here, and go into 2019 and how we're able to again make sure Colorado has a very positive business outcome, expand our partnerships with groups like the Roundtable and others around the state to make sure that we have the access, the information, and we know where the fights are, so that we can proactively engage rather than have to be reactive, which oftentimes is the case. It's going to happen, but anytime we can get out in front and try to strive to be a better partner and engage early is going to help everyone.
Yes, and we appreciate your partnership with our partnership with you at PacWest.
Thank you.
Yes, definitely. And as you said, when we have those downtown meetings, we utilize your offices, and you guys have been wonderful in accommodating that for us.
No, appreciate you guys being downtown.
Yeah, absolutely. And if you would like to be a partner for the Colorado Business Roundtable, please contact Lisa at lgregg, LGREGG, at cobrt.com. In the meantime, check out our website, cobrt.com, as well as PacWest, and that's PacWestCom.com. And check out this and more at cobrt.com/radio-podcast. And like and subscribe our YouTube page. Thank you.